All right, let's get right into it. What if I told you there's a simple shift in your mindset, just one, that could honestly change everything for your career and even your life? It's not really about what you learn, but about how you fundamentally see learning itself. And this gets right to the heart of it. This one sentence perfectly captures that massive transformation. Moving learning from just another task on your to-do list to making it the very core of who you are. So we're basically looking at two completely different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got what we'll call the phase mindset, which, let's be honest, is how most of us were taught to think. And on the other side, there's the identity mindset. So let's break down what these really look like.
Okay, let's start with the one we all know, the most common approach. This is the old way of doing things, treating learning like it's just some temporary phase we go through.
I mean, think about it. For a lot of people, learning has a very clear start and a very clear end. It's like a project you take on for a specific reason, maybe to get a promotion or land a new job, and then you just stop. It's an event, not a lifestyle.
You hear stuff like this all the time, right? Oh, I'm in my growth era. And it sounds good. It sounds positive. But listen closely to the words. It suggests it's a temporary thing, a season that's eventually going to pass. It basically puts an expiration date on your own development.
And here's another classic example. This one treats learning like a checkbox. You finish the course, you get the piece of paper, and boom, you're done. You got the skill, now you can move on. As if learning is something you can actually complete. So this leads to the most important question, doesn't it? What happens next? What happens when that growth era is over, or when that course is finished? In a world that is changing every single day, is done really ever done? And that's the big fatal flaw in this whole approach. All right, so let's switch gears and talk about a much more powerful, much more sustainable way to think. This is the new way, making learning a core part of your actual identity. And this is where we meet the lifetime learner. Just look at this definition for a second. It's not about learning reactively, only when you're forced to. It's about a constant, proactive drive to grow, simply because, well, that's just who you are. So what does a lifetime learner actually look like in the real world? Well, they're always curious. When some new technology pops up, they don't wait for their boss to tell them to learn it. They just dive right in. They see a gap in their own skills not as some kind of weakness, but as a cool new opportunity. They don't just react to shifts in their industry, they see them coming and they evolve right along with them. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. The motivation changes completely. It moves from an outside pressure, something you have to do, to an internal drive. The need to learn becomes as natural and as necessary as breathing. It's just a fundamental piece of you. Okay, so why does this all matter so much? Why is this such a big deal? Because when you adopt this identity, it gives you a serious, almost unfair advantage in a world that is full of uncertainty. Just think about all the things happening out there. The job market can completely change on a dime, right? Making some jobs way less stable than they used to be. And technology, new tools, new AI, they can make the skills you have right now pretty much obsolete, almost overnight. What was groundbreaking yesterday is just normal today. And it gets bigger than that. Entire industries can get disrupted or even just disappear. It can feel like it happens out of nowhere. Nothing is forever. But here it is. This is the payoff. If learning is your identity, none of that can actually stop you. See, you aren't tied to one specific skill or one job or one industry. You're tied to the process of growth itself. It makes you resilient. You don't just survive change, you actually thrive on it. You will always, always adapt. So as we start to wrap this up, let's turn this around and make it personal. I have one final, really important question for you to think about. And I want you to really take a second and be honest with yourself. Is your learning driven by pressure, by obligation, by what other people expect? Or is it fueled by this deep internal curiosity that is just part of your DNA? Because the answer to that one question, it changes everything. If learning isn't just something you do, but it's who you are, well then in any market, in any industry, and no matter what the future throws at you, you're simply unstoppable.